We hope you enjoy it. Our MC for this evening, or this afternoon, will be our past master, Alan Goldstein. So I'm going to leave it into his capable hands.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to welcome you all to the 50th anniversary of Veritas Lodge, in which we'll be honoring past masters. We'll be presenting a scholarship award. We will have a little introduction to history that Worshipful Williams will present. I'd like to thank everybody, number one, for coming. Ladies, brethren, and the rest of you. And especially District Deputy Jeff Belak for a wonderful meal. And thank you to all those from the other lodges that have come here to help us celebrate this occasion. It's just wonderful to see you all, and you ladies. So let's give them a hand too. If I went through the list of dignitaries, past masters, past district deputy grandmasters, present district deputy grandmaster, we'd be here all day. And it's just wonderful, again, to see you all. So sit back and enjoy yourself. And first, Worshipful Bojan Stričević, if you could say that, will talk about Veritas Lodge and where it's come from and what it is today. By the way, my back was killing me. That's why I'm sitting right now.
The lodge was chartered on June 2nd, 1999. So we're a little bit ahead of that 15th year anniversary. But let me read you a little bit of something that my senior deacon, who actually is doubling as the cameraman as we speak, wrote. This is a story of a good man. It is the action of a Freemason. It is also the work of a group of friends who have made possible the realization of a great idea. In 1998, motivated to broaden the horizons of Freemasonry in Southwest Florida, Right Worshipful Tom Elliott came to the idea of doing something that could be valued in the present and in the future. Convinced in his heart that it was the call to make for the good of the fraternal order, he called upon friends such as Fred Buckley. Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you. Fred has come all the way down from St. Petersburg to be here this afternoon. We owe him thanks. And to join him in this endeavor, other brothers, Dwayne Gruber, Robert Huppener, Bert Coffey, Eugen von Howell, Art Kennedy, and James Hogue, who's here with us too. Thank you for your help, James. Bo Bierce and Right Worshipful Bill McKay understood his call and offered more than a helping hand. It was their will to succeed and determination to comply with the requirements and obligations to have all the tools in place to reach this goal on the first day of June 1999. So, as you see here, Veritas, 15 years. Now, I could talk to you about some of them. I've only been here for a couple. But actually what I'd really like to do is have our Right Worshipful Tom Elliott tell us a little bit about it. Because who could not be able best to tell than the man that's been through it and almost has not missed one meeting in the past 15 years? So, Right Worshipful, where is he? There he is. Brothers Tom Elliott, one of the founders.
The only meeting I did miss, and all that time, I did come to dinner before I go, and I was only in first meeting in April.
And I excused him.
You know, you go back, and I'm so glad to see Freddie here today. From about early summer in 1998, we started the process of creating a UD Lodge, which is a lodge under dispensation. And Freddie was my traveling companion. When you traveled around the way we were traveling around at that time, getting support for a new lodge and what have you, you put a lot of miles on the car, and it's really nice to have somebody to talk to. And we were also learning ritual work at that time too. So I would call, I was working in Everglades City, and if I got out early enough, I would call Freddie, I'm going to LaBelle tonight, you want to go? Yeah, what time you want me to the house? And I tell them, you know, well, because they met at 8 o'clock at that time. I said, get there about 6:45, that should be time enough. Okay, I'll be there. Well, by the time I got home, most of the time he was out in the front yard waiting for me. He wasn't going to miss that. I found out later, it's a true story, I found this out later. Frida was so glad to get that phone call that she literally kicked him out of the house and said, go! But Freddie and I did a lot of traveling around back in those days, right up until the time he got sick, you know, and then after he started, his health started to fail a little bit, why, you know, he couldn't do it anymore. We often are asked about where the name Veritas came from. Right Worshipful Jim Ho was at a meeting one night back in the summer of 1998. And they were going around what the name should be, and everybody had, well, this one wanted the name of their lodge up in New York, and that one wanted their name of a lodge up in Massachusetts, and nobody could settle on anything. And Jim had been sitting there quiet, which, if you know Jim, sitting quiet is not one of his virtues. But he was sitting there very quietly, taking it all in, and he says, well, what about Veritas? He says, now you got to remember, you got to put this into perspective. He just finished law school. He says, yeah, he says, that's truth in Latin. He says, so he went around, and finally they settled. I said, how the heck do you spell Veritas? And I wrote it down. I think I still had that piece of paper. I wrote it down on notes a long time ago because I was the one who's going to have to spell it someplace. So that is how the name Veritas came into existence. I believe there's a couple of other lodges in the country that are named Veritas now, but you go back to the history. You know, everybody thinks that it was, you know, you just go start a new lodge, and that you don't do that. There's paperwork you got to do, and there are many different roads you got to go down. And it was kind of a humbling experience when all was said and done. With all the hills and all the valleys, you know, it finally got done in June of 1999. But it was not without the hard work of a number of different people. I just happen to be the one that has been able to be here the longest, I guess, as far as being in the lodge attendance. I'm trying to think back of some of the funny stories that we had, because nobody warned me that I was going to be doing this today.
I told you it was going to be a little emotional. And who best? Isn't he doing a great job telling you?
Oh, I'm looking around here and I'm trying to figure out. Freddie's a charter member. Who else here is a charter member of the lodge? Bill Horswood. Is that all the charter members here besides myself? We have 89 members as of today. We started with 20. And, you know, we've been up and down, up and down. We've been hovering right around 80 for the last couple of years. We're now up to 89. But that first year or two, we did raise a number of Master Masons. What year was you raised, Gene?
2007.
2007. I'm trying to think. Look around. And I thought Gene was here longer or something.
No, I was in 2004. I was in Master. I was raised in 2004.
And what he was?
2005 I was raised when I became Master in 2007.
Yeah, but when did you become a Mason? What year?
2004.
2004. Okay. Well, I'm glad to see a number of them here. I see a number of past masters here, and I'm sure they're going to get introduced in a little while. I happened to look at that picture over there. I was sitting there next to Emilio. I looked at that picture. I said, "That guy looks familiar." Well, finally, I had to get up and go look and see. Yeah, it's me. 60 pounds lighter. that was taken at the UD when Most Worshipful Jacques Couture come down and put us to work. Through the years I've met a lot of people. And even when I go to Grand Lodge, some of those people I meet might not know their name, they might not know mine, but we recognize one another. One of the things that I was told that when we received our charter, within a couple days or a week later, somebody called me, I can't remember who it was. He said, "Well, those past Grand Masters up there said they give you 1 year before you fold up." Boy, we sure proved them wrong. We sure proved them wrong. We've always operated a little bit differently. We rent this hall right here. We've been here for 15 years, 16 years actually almost. And we have to come in and set it up and tear it down. And it's a pain in the neck, but I'm going to tell you, my old buddy Fred Buckley, I'd unlock this thing about 6 o'clock, 6:30, and if I go home and get ready to get back to lodge, and I come back and he'd have that thing all set up by himself. Everything was out, set up, the curtains were up, everything, all by himself. And through the years it has become, we don't have that big overhead of supporting a building. So the last few years, we have been able to do some great work, and I'm so proud of these new guys coming in. We have given untold amount of money to charity. We started giving to the Masonic Home every year. We started giving to the MMRL, which is the Masonic Research Center, every year. Every year around Christmas time, we donate to, $500-600 to different charities like, you know, the Salvation Army, Goodwill. It could be any number of different things that we do. Really, it's up to the lodge and individual. I think the one that I'm proudest of is we have given a $200 donation to the Shelter for Abused Women and Children here in Naples for the last 5-6 years now. And you know, if you pay attention to the work that they do, it's kind of humbling that we're able in some small way to contribute to their success. What else? Come on, give me some questions.
Tom, weren't we the first new lodge in Florida in many, many years?
I don't know, we were the first one down in this area. I think there's been other ones, I haven't looked it up. The year we were chartered, there was 3 lodges chartered. And basically, the reason for that is, there wasn't too many before that. But the reason for that was that Most Worshipful Jack Couture, that was part of his thing, his year. Creating new lodges, the more new lodges you create, the more members you're going to get. And I think it worked pretty good for the first 4, 5, 6 years. But then, you know, as everything else, it takes a lot of hard work to keep a lodge going after it's created. Hard work is after you get your charter, to keeping it together. And that's why I say I'm so proud of the activities that we do, the charities that we support. And it's all because we got new people coming in, we got new blood, and they're working and they have a goal and they want to commit to that goal and finish it up and do it. And that's a great thing for me, sitting back looking at to see how these guys are gelling together and are doing that. This group that we've had here today is really great. It's humbling to see it. And it's really great to see what this lodge is doing and the friendships that we have developed and partnerships that we have developed throughout the years. Anybody else got a question?
Well, we got the scholarship program going too, that's new.
Yeah, that's the scholarship program's a new program. And we'll be doing that in a few minutes. And but these are all things that we hope to continue. In fact, speaking of the scholarship, over on that table over there, there's a jug. Anybody like to donate to it? The more money we get in there, the more scholarships we can give. We have now hooked up with Lorenzo Walker Technical Institute. And we've done 2 scholarships this year. One of the recipients is here someplace. And we will hopefully be able to do 2 next year, if we can get enough funds together to do it. This is an ongoing program. We hope to continue on into the future. But these young guys that you see here that have been running around, those are the ones that you got to thank for it. Somebody had an idea, but then we got a whole bunch of guys around and say, this is good. Anything else? That's all right. Yes, sir.
The scholarship truck, the funds, anybody can donate any amount of money. And for Masons, I have a poem which was written for the creation of Ashlar Lodge in Germany. And I'm sure Tony Heideckers is, their lodge is located on Ashlar Street, Avenue. So anybody who wants to make a $10 donation, the poem is framed, and you can take the poem for $10. But I would appreciate it if everybody put some money in there, so we get started in for the scholarship. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.